One of the elephants in every room whenever I do one of these trainings is somebody sitting out there thinking, man, this will really be good for the staff, not just for the kids. Like, we need circles more than the kids need circles. One thing that we understand, but we really don't talk about, is that staffs struggle to build relationships and they have conflict too. Just because we're in education does not mean we're immune to having the same problems that people experience in every other industry. You have to think about it. When you're at work, you're around these people more than you're around your family. When you're at home, you argue with your family. At some point or another, you're going to get into an argument with, if you're married, your husband or your significant other. You're going to have a disagreement with your kids. So what makes you think that you're not going to have the same issues at work? When you're around people, the one thing that's guaranteed is at some point or another, there's going to be some type of disagreement. Even if we make an attempt to do it with our students, we rarely make an attempt to handle conflicts between our staff. A lot of times what we tend to do is kind of just hope it goes away. One thing that's inevitable is when you put a group of people in a confined space, they're going to have some level of disagreement. Like, nobody is immune to having conflict with another person. That's part of being human. We're not going to see eye to eye on everything. And particularly, like, we come from so many different backgrounds, and I'm not talking about the surface level backgrounds, and just the way we go about doing things. Some people think that it makes sense that when they go into the teacher's lounge and look in the refrigerator, if there's an unopened lean cuisine, they just eat it. Every campus that I've worked at, somebody at some point has eaten somebody's food. You know how you know that? Because that person's food who got ate is sending out an email to the entire staff about who ate my food. And now you have to deal with this email chain of trying to figure out who ate this person's food. One thing I know is if that person ever finds out who ate their food, that is going to be a problem. Let's say Miss Johnson is a habitual other people food eater. So that's Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson is a habitual other people food eater. But let's say Miss Smith is not having it. Miss Smith is the kind of person that is not having anybody eat her food. Miss Johnson is probably still going to eat people's food maybe, but she needs to understand that if she's going to eat anybody's food, don't let it be Miss Smith. That's how we avoid this. We have to remember that we're people too. Educators are people just like anybody else, and when you're at a school, you're part of a community. And when you're a part of a community, there needs to be some level of understanding of how we treat each other within this community. I have to know how you want to be treated. You have to know how I want to be treated. And if we don't have an understanding of that, what's going to end up happening is we're going to end up having some conflict. Conflict is inevitable, but it's definitely going to happen more frequently if we don't understand each other's needs. Just as much as the teachers need to have an understanding of the students, we need to have an understanding of each other. We have to be able to work together to meet the needs of the students. One person cannot do everything on a campus. It's impossible. We have to collaborate and work together in order to meet the diverse needs of our students. It's impossible for one person. There's not going to be one superhero principal that does it. There's not going to be one superhero teacher that does it. It's a collective group effort in order to meet the needs of our students. This is the academic needs. This is the social and emotional needs. It's going to be a collective effort to do that. So in order for us to be able to do this, we're going to have to work together. But in order for us to work together, we have to be able to coexist and have an understanding of each other, because we don't have to like each other. Like, just because you're a part of a team and you can be a part of a successful team, you don't have to like everybody on that team. But what you have to do is respect everybody on that team and have an understanding of the needs that everybody on that team has. People look at this movie and they're like, oh, this is funny, but this is not something that really happens at a school. You'll be surprised how many teachers actually get in fights at school. But if you're at a school, it does make sense, because even if you haven't witnessed an actual fight between teachers, you witnessed pretty much the closest thing to a fight as far as an argument between two teachers on a staff, or between two administrators, or between an administrator and teacher on a staff. This happens everywhere because ultimately we're people, and people are going to disagree and not see eye to eye at times. What we need to do is be able to have an understanding of each other and understand why this person, what makes this person click. Yeah, Miss Smith may be late to work every day, but if you sit in a circle with Miss Smith, you may understand why Miss Smith is late to work every day. If you sit down in a circle with Miss Johnson, it may help you understand why she's a habitual other people food eater. You have no idea what other people are going through when they're at home. You have no idea of what that person has been through in their life that makes them the way they are today. But by sitting down and proactively having dialogue with each other, it can only help the climate and culture of your campus.